Good morning. We are going to start with exceptions which are mentioned in 101. That is, after defining murder, they have mentioned 5 exceptions. 5 exceptions tell us that culpable homicide is not murder. Culpable homicide is not murder. It means it is going to remain just culpable homicide. Okay. Now exception 1 is what? Grave and sudden provocation. Culpable homicide is not murder if the offender, while deprived of his power of self-control by grave and sudden provocation, causes the death of the person who gave the provocation or causes the death of any person either by accident or by mistake. This is the first exception. What the important words are what? Power of, deprived of power of self-control by grave and sudden provocation, causes the death of the person who gave the provocation or causes the death of some other person who did not give him provocation, but by mistake or accident the death is been caused. Then this person will come under the exception of grave and sudden provocation. Okay. Now losing of self-control means what happens? Somebody is telling us something, insulting us. So what happens? We are having a limit, breaking point of every person is there, isn't it? We can listen the person up to a limit, but he crosses the limit. So what happens? We are controlling ourselves, but a point comes where we lose our self-control. As we lose our self-control, it is a passion. We are very much angry. We have lost our self-control because that person is giving us grave provocation. He is provoking us. And he has provoked us because we have lost our self-control. And what happens? We cause the death of the person who provokes us. So in that circumstances, the person who has died, he is also responsible for that, isn't it? Because he gave us the grave and sudden provocation. So he is also responsible. So we are not coming under murder, we are coming under culpable homicide. Got it? Means when a person loses his self-control because of grave and sudden provocation given by that person and we cause the death of that person, then this is an exception. Okay, here, but we have to make it very much clear that grave provocation should be there. It should not be like a slight provocation. Means ordinary person of proper temper, he will also get angry. What is anger? A person, it's a common phenomenon, isn't it? It's a human nature that we get angry. Anger is a common phenomenon. A human being gets angry because each and every person is having his own temper. There is a point where he is going to get angry, and in that passion, when he loses his self-control, if he causes the death, then he is coming under grave and sudden provocation, but he has to pass the test of grave and sudden provocation. Means when he will come under this exception, the provocation was grave and sudden. It was not premeditated. It was not firstly decided, and it should be done when the blood is hot. This is a hot-blooded murder, not a cold-blooded murder. Means when a person gets angry, when he loses his self-control, what happens? He comes in the hot blood. But when the hot blood is there, when the span is there, in that span only the death should be caused. If it is caused after the span, that is when his temper has cooled down, when the self-control, he has again regained the self-control, and in that if he causes the death, then that is what? Premeditated death. Therefore that will amount to murder. Now who will decide this? The court is going to decide this upon the facts and the circumstances of the case. Okay. Now in exception 1 itself, they have mentioned a proviso. Provided that provocation is not first sought or voluntarily provoked by the offender as an excuse of killing or doing harm to any person. Means I decide to kill A, therefore I go there, I start talking with A and get myself provoked like that. Means he is not doing, that poor person is not doing anything. I myself get, because I have come here with an objective that I will talk with him, and thereafter I will show as if I have got provoked and I'll kill him. It will be killing, it will be murder. It will not come under this exception. Okay. Now the second is what? Given by anything done in obedience of the law or by a public servant in the lawful exercise of the powers of such public servant. Means the public servant who is doing his duty, he is performing his duty and he is telling something, he is saying something. I should not get provoked because he is a lawful authority. He is doing whatever he is doing or whatever he is telling, that is lawful. So I should not get provoked, and if I show that I am getting provoked like that, then this is not a provocation when given by anything done in obedience of law. Okay. And the third is what? Given by anything done in the lawful exercise of a right of private defense. When I am exercising my right of private defense, I am within the exception. But in the right of private defense, I am doing something. So nobody should get provoked by that. We'll take it on the other side. Somebody is attacking me. So what I am doing something to defend myself. I am coming under the right of private defense because I am defending myself. He is creating an apprehension of death or causing grievous hurt to me. So I am defending. So whatever I am doing in the defense, maybe physically, maybe by words, by that this person, the attacker, should not get provoked. And if he is telling that he is under grave and sudden provocation, then law says it is not a grave and sudden provocation. Got it? We will see again. Culpable homicide is not murder if the offender, while deprived of power of self-control by grave and sudden provocation, causes the death of the person who gave the provocation or causes the death of somebody else by mistake or accident, provided that provocation is not, first, if it has been voluntarily provoked by the offender, second, by giving anything in obedience of law, and third is what? Given by anything done in the lawful exercise of the right of private defense. In these three cases, it is not a provocation. So the person is not going to come under exception. As is not going to come under this exception, that will be murder. If the person comes in the exception, that will be just culpable homicide, which is a less severe offense than murder. Murder is something additional, and here we are seeing just exceptions which say culpable homicide is not murder. Okay. Now in this exception, it is clearly mentioned about, like, A is giving me provocation, that is grave, okay, that is sudden, and I kill him in that grave and sudden provocation because I have lost my self-control. In that case, if I kill him, I am coming under this exception. Similarly, he is provoking me and I am under a position that I will do something to that concerned person, and I am doing something. Somebody comes in between and accident occurs. I am using force against the person who is provoking me, but in mistake I kill somebody else because that person comes in between me, either by accident, either by mistake. When I am exercising that grave and sudden provocation under accident and mistake, if I kill somebody else, then it is like grave and sudden provocation only. Law gives me the protection. I will come under exceptions. Okay. Now these are what? Exceptions are what? Mitigating factors. Mitigating factors means reducing. The punishment is been reduced. Severe offense is murder. Less severe is culpable homicide. A person is coming from 101 section to 100. Got it? Because he is coming under this exception. This is the first exception, and that exception or the law of grave and sudden provocation is being explained in K. M. Nanavati's case. That is a famous and the landmark case. Okay. Now the principles which are being mentioned in came Nanavati's case was, what were the facts of the case? Nanavati, who was a vice admiral in Navy, a decorated officer, his wife Sylvia tells him that she is having an affair with a friend. His name was Ahuja, Prem Ahuja. By that what happens? He comes to know for the first time. Now when a wife is telling the husband that she is having an affair with somebody else, or she is having an illicit relationship with somebody else, husband is going to get provoked. Okay. Now what he does not kill Sylvia. He listens to her, and thereafter, after some hours, 3 hours and all, what he does, he takes her to a theatre, children and his wife to the theatre. He leaves them there. Thereafter, he goes to Ahuja and enters into his bedroom and shoots him. And in the court, they are trying to bring him in the exception grave and sudden provocation. But what the court has clearly mentioned, that few hours have passed by. In between, like Sylvia has told him, thereafter some hours have gone where his hot blood has cooled down, because he goes to his office. He takes the revolver. Thereafter, he goes to Ahuja's office. There the Ahuja is not found there. So after that, he goes to his home, and there he kills. Means few hours have gone by. So his blood is being cooled down. Court has held like that, and therefore he is not coming in grave and sudden provocation. In Nanavati's case, some prepositions they have drawn. Okay, Supreme Court has given certain prepositions, means rules. What they have mentioned? The test of grave and sudden provocation is whether a reasonable man belonging to the same class of society as the accused placed in the situation in which the accused was placed would be provoked as to lose his self-control. Means if a wife, anybody, not only Sylvia, anybody's wife, if she tells her husband that she is having relationship, she is having intercourse, she had intercourse with somebody else, whether the husband is going to get provoked? Yes, husband is going to get provoked. So not only Nanavati, but if any person, a reasonable man belonging to the same class of society, whether he can get provoked, that we have to check. Because if a reasonable man cannot get provoked, means here this person had got provoked, maybe he is hot tempered. So he is not coming under grave and sudden provocation. So the test which is applied here is what? Ordinary prudent man, reasonable man. Whether he can get provoked, then we can say it is grave and sudden provocation. Okay. In India, words, not only words, but gestures also will come as grave and sudden provocation. If those gestures are such a kind of gestures where the person comes to know that something wrong is going on, he is getting provoked, he is trying to control himself, but at a point is not able to. If those gestures are shown to the court sees the gestures and considers that in these gestures certain things are there where a reasonable man can get provoked, then the test is been fulfilled. Okay. The mental background created by the previous act of the victim may be taken into consideration in ascertaining whether the subsequent act caused grave and sudden provocation for committing the offense. Means whatever the person has told him, whether that is sufficient to provoke him or not, that we have to check. If it is sufficient to provoke, then the person comes under the exception grave and sudden provocation. And the fourth is what? The fatal blow should be clearly traced in the influence of the passion arising from the provocation, and not after the passion had cooled down. So that for that only I told you that the death should be caused in that passion, means when the blood is hot, not after it is been cooled down by lapse of time or otherwise giving room and scope for premeditation and calculation. So if the person, anger I told you, is a common human behavior. Anger is a passion to which a bad and a good person can succumb. When a person succumbs because of anger, he comes under the exception grave and sudden provocation. Got it? Now, if he is coming under grave and sudden provocation, then he is not liable for murder. He is only liable for culpable homicide. But he was angry. He has lost his self-control. But afterwards, means when he has regained the self-control, means what has happened, because of time has passed, his blood has cooled down. Now here there is a time for premeditation. Mens rea is formed. He is calculating how to do, when to do and all. So guilty mind is formed. And when guilty mind is formed, and if he kills somebody, then that will amount to murder. In Nanavati's case, same thing happened. His wife told him about the illicit relationship. He did not kill her. What he did, he kept quiet. Afterwards, after a lapse of time, he went to his office, takes the revolver, goes to Ahuja and kills him. Here there is a span for calculation. Here there is a span for premeditation. Therefore, he was liable for murder. Okay, he didn't come under the exception grave and sudden provocation. Yet we have not completed the exception grave and sudden provocation. In the next lecture, we will see and continue the exceptions. Okay, bye bye.